Here we are again. Welcome. 5 o'clock, Tuesday. Couple of deep breaths. Why do we do this? Why do I do this? I keep asking myself, what's the purpose of this? I do this, we do this, I invite you to do this with me because it grounds us into this present moment. I used to lead people to ground into the body, and I don't necessarily see the value in that, but there's huge value in being grounded in the present moment, especially for the work that we gather to do here. So I invite you to take a couple of deep breaths with me. Just letting go of all that you were doing before. Letting go of all that you must do later. Right here, right now is where we are. I am here to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not need to worry about what to say or what to do. Because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So what are we doing here? Why do we do this? What the fuck? I started this group several weeks ago now. I think we're in the 6th week because I was really struggling and I needed help. And I didn't have anyone to talk to about these crazy, crazy, crazy experiences that I'm going through. I have a lot of people that wouldn't understand the way that A Course in Miracles students understand. There's these really great thing called mighty companions, and they are the people who are on the path with us. Not that anybody exists outside of me, but this is one of the paradoxes. I find myself discovering paradoxes as I talk about the Course in Miracles. So why are we here? What are we doing? We're unwinding the stories. This character, Jodi Michelle, she's a character in a story, in a play. And the whole point here is that we're looking at the stories and unwinding them. As we look, it gets unwound. And so I'm going through this crazy process where I'm learning to decipher the difference between who I really am and the ego thought system. And it got bizarre for quite a while. And so I was really struggling. I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I started this group. Even when nobody shows up, I just talk to camera. So I want to share this crazy story that happened. As I listen to others unwind their stories, my stories get unwound. And so one of my intentions for sharing this story in the recording is that as you hear me unwind my story, you'll be able to relate and unwind some of yours, at least to see it. Because that's what we're being asked to do, is just to see insanity of the ego thought system. So I was in another call this morning, listening to a lady talk about A Course in Miracles. And she was talking about making teachers wrong, talking about her journey and how that was one of her hurdles to go through, was that she had to recognize that was projecting basically all of this wrongness onto this teacher. And as I'm listening to her, I'm also listening to the ego thought system in me go completely insane. It started off quite innocently. I didn't catch it at first. I was just disagreeing with what she had to say. And the irony was that she was talking about disagreeing with what teachers had to say, and my ego, was disagreeing with her. I was disagreeing with her disagreements. It got so insane as I watched, and I couldn't really follow her because the insanity in my mind was so epic. And I keep talking about this, like my ego gets so insane that I can see it. It's like so ridiculously insane that it becomes so apparently obvious. And so that's what happened to me again this morning. I'm listening, and I think it was the irony that really kind of alerted me, like, wait a second, aren't you judging the judgment? Basically, aren't you judging the judgments? Aren't you making this teacher wrong? And so, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, just watching, not judging, really leaning into this. Don't judge the judgment. Okay, so we caught ourselves judging the judgment. Don't judge yourself judging the judgment. Just watch it and keep listening and just, keep going. And so the way that this particular lady does it, then she turns off the recording and it's our turn to share. Well, somebody starts sharing, and immediately I'm like, my ego's going ballistic, making them wrong. And I can't even really hear what they're sharing because it's just wrong. It's so wrong, I don't even delete it. And like, so many stories are going on, so many stories. And like catastrophizing. It's amazing how the ego catastrophizes, makes everything so big, so real. And so here I am, judging the judgments, listening, trying to listen, watching. And I want to fix it, of course, because that's one of my stories, right? One of my identities is of the transformation artist. I fix things. And certainly once you catch something that's so wrong, you need to fix it. Otherwise, what's the point on catching it being so wrong? So like the point of the story though is it got so wrapped up. My ego got so wrapped up in itself that it became so obvious. And again, like I always experience it as like a bubble will burst. And I recognize I get to choose. I must have chosen wrongly because I'm not at peace. Because I was getting all caught up in the ego thought system, judging the judgments, laughing at myself, judging the judgments. So not quite in my non-judgmental awareness. And so like as soon as that happened, it just like the bubble bursts, the decision maker takes over, decides again, bam, I'm in peace. And so I see you. That's it. That's the point of the story. I see you. That's what we're asked to do here. Look at the ego without judgment. Learn to recognize that I am not that which is being watched. I am that which watches. I am the space, not the mess. And so that is A Course in Miracles in practice. And it's simple and it's easy. Once you get that, get it. So I've had another profound day of catching the shit show, but not being it. Just really leaning into that and practicing that. I'm not that. I'm not the mess. How are you doing, Christine?
Well, the Zoom today that you're talking about was interesting because I noticed triggers as well, but I didn't feel to share. And then some people shared, and then you started talking. I was like, oh, she's saying everything that's in my mind. And that's happened but to me before too, right? Like, because it was way harder. It would be like, oh God, when you're first learning to express, you feel it. You can feel it, your whole body, your heart is pounding, however it looks for you, you can feel it. And then when you feel like you can't lean in, like you can't open your mouth, you're so scared to open your mouth. And then someone would say exactly what was on my mind. And it was like the first time, like spirit demonstrated for me the one mind, the in action, like the one mind unfolding, showing me itself. Holy shit. So I just waited. So I knew I just wait. Right. And then you were saying, you, yeah, you were just saying everything that was in my mind anyway, because there's only one mind. So, no, it was really great. I was just listening to you talk and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's in there. That's in there. Yeah, yeah. I had specific ones like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. You don't have to ask why you're having a trigger. You don't have to go looking for it in your childhood. Where did it come from? You don't have to do any of that. You just have to be willing to see the trigger and then hand it over. And then there's another one that I rush to like react to, which is anytime I hear what I perceive as personal ownership over healing, like, oh yeah, I had to unwind that one, blah blah blah. No, actually you didn't unwind that one. Only spirit can unwind. Right? So my mind like harps on those particular items. It's like it's revealing this judgment that teachers are a certain way. Teachers fall into this kind of category. Boom, 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 boom. They should sound this way, you know? That's really what it reveals. And that's far reaching for me. Like when Trump was elected, I realized I had beliefs about what leadership is supposed to look like, what leadership is supposed to sound like, how leadership is supposed to behave. My perception, I didn't know. And I'm pretty far removed. I'm in Canada. I'm not even in the States. And I had a lot of Trump like flare up. I had some serious Trump flare up, like murderous thoughts. It went pretty dark before. But it was all just pointing to the same thing. It was all just like, okay, this is going to show you some thoughts in your mind that you're not seeing, some beliefs in your mind. And like, that's a big one. Leadership, when you believe leadership should look a certain way and it doesn't, that, if you're still attached to how the outside world, if you still think the outside world is really important, that's going to be painful. I mean,
Yeah.
I had all my tools at my disposal. I had mighty companions. I had the course. Like I had a lot of stuff, and I still really wanted it to look different. I really wanted it to be over. I wanted the 4 years to be over, you know? Yeah. But I think it's all the same thing. Just show up how I feel like you're supposed to show up. Show up like David. Be like David. Show up like David or something like that, you know? But it's funny with Calico, I have these little flare-ups, and then within like 10 seconds, whoosh, the truth, just like the realization from the truth whooshes in, and it's like, oh right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I listen to this other teacher, Keith Kavanaugh, a lot, and gosh, it just disappeared. Isn't that interesting?
I don't know who that is. I know the name.
No?
I
Oh,
know the name, but I can't picture a face or like picture a
he's
video that I would have seen.
he's in Ireland, so he's got an Irish accent. He's got a beard, short hair and a beard, no glasses. Relatively young, maybe around our age, younger. He's great. I can't remember when I found him or how I found him, but I've been listening to him pretty much since the beginning with David and Kenneth. Those are my three. Um, I don't even include Calico because I think I joined her live. So the other three I just watch videos of. Um, yeah, he's amazing. He's got amazing. He has such amazing clarity. He makes it so simple. He's a student of Kenneth Wapnick, so he teaches through that lens. Um, yeah, I'll send you a link. Like his last two videos have completely fucking changed my game. His last one is where he just straight up says, "Guys, this is simple and it's easy. Stop making it complicated. It's simple and it's easy." And the way he says it and demonstrates he's right. It's like it's so. I had an overnight shift. Literally, the video before I watched his last video, I said, "Guys, this is simple. It's not easy." That was like my whole stance about A Course in Miracles, that this practicalness of it is simple, but the application of it is hard. It's challenging. It's not easy. And I talked about that a lot. And then I watched this video, and he doesn't just say it, he demonstrates it. And he doesn't demonstrate it by talking. He shows you by bringing one of his participants through this process of just being the peace, being the awareness. And as soon as you have that experience, it just blows everything out of the water. I'll send you a link. Keith Kavanaugh, he's amazing. And I was going to say something about that, and it just like went out. So there you go.
Hmm.
Yeah. The difference between perception and truth is profound. And I think that's what the key is here. I have this note, one of the first Calico videos that I was a participant in. She said, one of the notes I wrote down is, "I can either see through perception or truth." And then I kind of made a chart going down, this is perception, which is the ego and the five senses and the stories and blah, 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 blah. And then on the other side is the truth, which is the peace, the freedom, the love that we are under all the other shit. And yeah, I can either see through perception or truth. I must have chosen wrongly because I'm not at peace. And so it really is simple and it really is easy. It's changed changed the whole system again.
You made me think of the levels of mind. Living Miracles created a levels of mind. Have you checked that
I,
out?
I have, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did his free 30-day unwind your mind King David, and that's when I discovered Siri and the levels of mind, and a whole bunch of stuff came from that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I used it, I did 12 in a row. I just
Oh,
kept going and going and going and going and I haven't used it since, but I just like boom, 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 boom. It just was flowing out. Like get this out of me, help me see it clearly
yeah,
kind of experience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. These experiences, like I think that's a really big key here. I'm really brand new here. I picked up A Course in Miracles in June. I read
You
this.
just picked it up in June?
Yeah,
What the fuck?
I know, I know. I read Disappearance of the Universe in January, so that was like my first introduction. Yeah, but I'm like brand fucking new at this, and I've been doing it for lifetimes. This came in so natural to me. This is so perfect. I'm in the right place at the right time, and so I'm just like a natural at it. Um, yeah, but I'm really like super fucking brand new here.
Hmm. I'm not brand new at all, but it's amazing actually. Like if you just picked up the course in June, like wow, like the willingness and the readiness that come together. This display that I'm seeing, and this person called Jody. It's like wow, it's quite the demonstration because to me it it shows me this can happen a lot faster than you think it does. It can be like a light switch, boom, or it can take a little longer, whatever is needed, but when I am looking at you, the reminder is this is how fast it can go. I don't know if it feels fast to you, but to me it feels fast thinking
It
of
is.
you.
It's been super fucking fast. It's been super fast, and it's been like I met Calico, and Calico was what got me to pick up the book. I wasn't going to. I was kicking and screaming. I wasn't going to do it. But this being came named Calico came onto Kenneth's Zoom call, and I'm like, what the fuck? She's talking about hospice and how she walked out of hospice and she like changed her mind from fucking stage 4 cancer. And I'm like, that's what A Course in Miracles can do for you? I'm fucking let me like sign me up.
Hmm.
That sounds like a powerful path. And yeah, it's just been like it's been so quick. I've had a couple of really big shifts that have just like completely fucking changed everything. I came in as like basically I already channel, so I have a really comfortable connection with Jesus. Not so much Holy Spirit. I am now. That's the word I use, knowing that it's all just me anyway. So words are semantics. But yeah, I was so I was groomed for this. Everything that led up to this groomed me for this. Yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah, it was Calico, and like in May she came on to Kenneth's psychiatric sobriety call, which I've been involved with for like 2 years, not wanting to have anything to do with the Course in Miracles because it just wasn't my path. But yeah, after walking away from the Tao community last fall and then like reading A Disappearance of the Universe, but yeah, it was Calico, and I'm gonna send her an email soon and tell her that. By the way, you you were the camel, the straw. She was the straw that broke the camel's back, and me coming
Thank God,
into
eh?
this, kicking and screaming. Like, no, that's not for me. No, no, it's not for me.
Thank
No, that's
God.
not for me.
I love it.
So, but I think like a key difference between people like me who it is happening so fast and people who've been studying the course for years. I'm not studying the course. I immediately started practicing it.
I
And
know, me too.
that was a big thing. Calico made that distinction. When Kenneth first had her on, he called her a Course in Miracles teacher. She said, "No, I'm not a teacher, I'm a practitioner." And she made a really big distinction for us. She said, "Don't be fucking studying A Course in Miracles. It won't get you anywhere. You have to practice it. It's a practice. It's a there's practical application." So like, yeah, immediately I read A Course in Miracles, but I'm not studying. I'm not a student of A Course in Miracles. I'm a practitioner. So she gave me that really clear distinction in the beginning, and I think that's a huge part of how I can move so quickly. I'm super willing, I'm super fucking determined, and I'm not fucking around. Like I know the difference between practicing and studying, and I have no fucking time for studying this shit.
Yeah, I was never a studier either. Anytime I tried to be a studier, Spirit was like, no, close that and go put it on the shelf. It got awful fast when I was trying to study.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was always practical for me, always. And I was around studiers, and something felt off.
Mhm.
And I really noticed that. Yeah, this is great. Like David talks about, like I've heard him talk about many times, um, about how do I say that? Like the speed up, like how quickly people are just like integrating into it. Like they're just living it. It's coming very naturally and and I remember saying something to Laverne. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's been with
Only
Living
because Kenneth
Miracles.
talks about her. I think
Yeah,
it's the
she's been
same
with
thing.
Living Miracles for a long time, and she was my link at one point. And I remember talking to her. It's like I don't remember what I said, but I remember her response, and it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like David and all those guys. It took this long for them to get where they are, you know. And then the next group comes in, and then it takes this long, and then the next group comes in, and it takes this long. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's doing their part in the sonship. Everybody's playing their role so that it can like expand. You know what I mean? Like it's like a pot of boiling water. Once the bubbles get going, you know. So it's like David and all those guys were like the little bubbles at the bottom that are just getting started, you know. But yeah, it just and the way he talks about um like the time for talking is almost over. Like I remember being there. It was a Christmas. They were recording a video. It was a Christmas video. It was like 2017 or something, and I remember being there and operating the camera. And I remember David saying in the midst of his talk, his share, like, we're almost done. We're actually almost done. And I did this, like, I just, and then Eric was sitting beside, I don't know if you know who Eric is, but he's been with Living Miracles for a really long time too. And he was sitting beside David, and he just looked at me, and I looked at him, like I could feel what David was saying. We're almost done. And it was such an immense relief that I kind of went into shock a little bit. And then I just started crying. I was like, thank God it's almost over. So wow, like so really you really are this demonstration of this the willingness in the mind to not drag it out. It's like that willingness is there. It's there for the whole sonship. It's available. Yeah. And we're almost done. Like that that had impact. Huge, huge impact.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because I feel like we're in a really similar place. and it took me 15 years to get here, you know? Like, I had to walk through very specific things in very specific ways.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's almost like there's the fear, right? The fear. And it's like it gets less and less and less. The less fear there is, the more you can just strengthen the commitment and keep going. The fear is what slows. I feel like the fear is why I had to move at the pace that I had to move. Because spirit is not going to thrust you into heaven. You're not going to get thrown into heaven. It's too much, right?
Yeah,
So
you're
you
only
have
given
to
what you can
baby
handle.
step through the fear.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I also like I was on a purification path for 8 years before I signed up for A Course in Miracles. So a lot of it, like I experienced what I call miracle after miracle in my healing journey because I was so sick in 2014 when I started that path. And when I left, I'm not sick anymore. I'm not. I sure, during my bucking bronco phase, when all of my unconscious guilt came up, I went back into my mental health challenges. But I also am in recovery from chronic illness that was labeled fibromyalgia. For 31 years, I was in pretty fucking rough shape. At the very end, I was in really, really, really rough shape, and I'm not anymore. So, um, I did a lot of forgiveness. Like that is a big premise of what Master Sha teaches is forgiveness. It's forgiveness to destroy, but
What does that
it's
mean? I don't even know what that means.
well, it means that I'm a holy ego. Forgiveness to destroy is me being a holy ego and forgiving you because you've done something wrong.
Oh, okay.
And I'm better than you are because I'm like the holy one who's willing to forgive your sin against me.
Hmm.
That's forgiveness to destroy. And it's very powerful. There's a lot of power there. You can heal yourself. It's a big, huge part of what Master Sha teaches. Forgiveness is a huge pillar on self healing. So, I come into A Course in Miracles and I realize that's not the real forgiveness because it's all fucking made up and you don't exist. So, therefore, you haven't done anything wrong. It's just a script that I've created. So, I'm not actually forgiving you, I'm really forgiving myself. Um,
Yes,
so,
the misperception of making the world real.
yeah,
It's accidentally, if I operate from the perspective of the world is real, then if that's my starting point, I'm already in the wrong place. I'm
yeah,
already starting in the wrong place.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think that that's a big part of why I can, like, not that there's any comparison, but why I can do what I've done in 5 months, whereas other people doing things for so many years. I also, uh, one of my first people with the Course in Miracles couldn't wrap their head around the whole relationship with Jay thing.
Relationship with what?
Jesus,
Oh.
I call him Jay.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like just could not wrap their head around that. Had been studying the Course for years, couldn't wrap their head around that. I walked into that already so comfortable. I'm a certified soul communicator. I've been trained. I used to work with clients. Like people would come to me, I would do a reading, tell you what was wrong, tell you how to fix it. And that was a big part of what I used to do. So I feel like I came into this with a lot of tools and experience under my belt that helped me to just really adopt these challenge things that other people find so challenging and really have to work through. It wasn't a big deal for me. Like when Calico said, "Be careful with Kenneth Wapnick because he's not into asking Holy Spirit for help," and I'm like, whatever, that doesn't affect me. I have no problem with that. It wasn't. It's just not a thing. It comes naturally to me to have a relationship with Jesus or Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
remember the impact when Sarah, she was a Living Miracles person for a while too. Sarah St. Clair's. I don't think she's with them anymore. She kind of doing her own thing, but she's been really helpful for me, throughout the years here and there. And one of the things she said to me was, wow, that just flew out. Oh, there it is. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, she was like, it won't matter who is in front of you because the relationship is with Christ. It's with Jesus. So the people in front of you will come and go and it'll be okay because the relationship isn't between the bodies. It's and at the time, I know I was referring to like men, relationships with men, because I had this thing with death because I'd been through so much death, and I was like, but Sarah, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to get involved with somebody and then they die. Like, and she's like, it's gonna be okay because your relationship, you're gonna feel that the relationship is here, not here. So even if you're with somebody and they die, the relationship is here, and you'll feel that, and it'll be okay. And I get it. I knew that. I don't. My experience with the truth has been like when I hear it, I know that it's true. I don't understand it, but I feel it like it's a memory.
yeah,
So then there's this trust. I know that they're right, even though I had no concept of it and I can't make sense of it. I don't have to make sense of it. I don't have to wrap my head around anything. In fact, if I'm trying to make sense and trying to wrap my head, pause and
yeah.
get out of that perspective. That is not where waking up happens. It's not in the intellect, it's not in the understanding. So yeah, that reminder that it's all this is the relationship that's always happening, no matter what is going on. This is the relationship that's happening.
Have you heard of Nook Sanchez?
Yes, but
She's got
again,
a book, End of Death.
no, I know the name. I don't even know why I know the name.
She's on YouTube. She does she unpacks lessons. She's with another lady on YouTube. I can't remember. It's called ACIM Unpacked, maybe.
Hmm.
Somebody told me about her a while ago, but because she's doing the lessons of the day through the year, she's way off schedule with me, and I've not done them before, so I'm not paying attention to her YouTube channel. But she wrote a book called The End of Death. And it's about this, what you're talking about exactly. Her partner died. They were Course in Miracles students, and her partner died. Their
Hmm.
relationship grew stronger. It changed, but it didn't stop. She said just because his body is gone, it doesn't mean like the relationship didn't stop. It just changed because I'm in a body and he's not. It's a really amazing book. End of Death. I'm about halfway through it. And that's what it is. Like it wasn't about the relationship is not between two bodies. Bodies don't even exist. It's all in our mind. Yeah, it's beautiful. They were together for like 20 years or something, both Course in Miracle students, and then he died. Yeah, End of Death.
Mhm.
Yeah. Also, Gary Renard, I've listened to all of Gary's books. He's got a fifth one coming out, apparently. He has one called Your Immortal Reality. Fascinating stuff. Have you read any of his books? Arden and Persa, the two ascended masters that come to visit him?
I know I've heard about them and I've had people, tell me about it and stuff, but
Yeah.
um I seem to go through my book phase um in my 30s.
Mm.
Like in my 20s and 30s it was like uh I was hungry for books at that time, and it started with conversations with God, and it evolved into these really flowy other things. And then each one took me a little deeper and deeper, right? And then it was Deepak, which I don't even think I read that much. I was just around it. It was almost like I was absorbing it. And then it went to Eckhart Tolle. And again, it was just kind of like I was absorbing it. And then the course, and since the course, I don't think there's been any other books except um like a paragraph here or there from David or Kirsten or you know somebody. Yeah, that's been it. Like I have not had guidance to like keep going with books. Yeah.
I was so resistant to A Course in Miracles. I was willing to read any book about it, but I wasn't going to
But
pick up
not
the
yeah.
course. So I listen to I listen to books on Audible because it allows me to have a bath or drive a car or do my job while I'm reading a book. But Kenneth Wapnick has a book called Living A Course in Miracles. And it's basically A Course in Miracles. It's just all the points in it, important points, and how to actually practice the course. I listened to that 4 times before I actually picked up the course. I've probably watched 100 YouTube videos about the course before I picked up the course. I
Yeah.
listened to a bunch of, yeah, course teachers
So it's
talking
like
about the
spirit was building
concepts.
trust.
Yeah,
Building
yeah,
trust. Like
refused. Like I refused. It wasn't my path. I had no desire until Calico. She was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, and I love her because she's so got my personality style. Like, just fucking big and bold, big and bold. Don't sugarcoat it. Just like go straight in there and fucking take it or leave it. And that so resonates with me. So when that kind of personality with her story was like, fuck, I'm on board. Fucking sign me up.
for me, it's funny when the course came in. I don't. It was so organic, and it was just there, and I just knew it was the truth, and I hadn't even read it, and I was going to. I don't know if you know Sarah Humert. Okay, yeah, she was living in Edmonton for a long time, and she was having course meetings, and this is when I was 30, and so we would go to her place once a week, and we'd have a Course in Miracles meeting, and I wasn't even reading the book. She just would read a section together and talk about it or whatever. I just knew everything. I just knew because I it was like a memory that I really, really trusted. It was always so um absolute. I did not have doubt thoughts about what came out of it. I just didn't. So that part was really easy for me. Really easy. Yeah. I had fear. It was just about the world, you know? Yeah, I had no resistance to the course. I also think I didn't know how badly I thought it has to be better than this. I don't think I knew how desperate that prayer was. So I think that's why the course felt the way that it did, how easy it was.
Hmm.
Yeah.
When I first made my "there must be something better than this" prayer, my surrender as an atheist, I said it as an atheist. Um, I was shown Master Sha. Like I was so sick. I had given up on Western medicine because I was such a victim of them, right? They had made me so sick. It took such a lot of hard work and time and effort to get off of all the drugs that they got me hooked on and heal my body because of all the damage they did and blah 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 blah. And yeah, and I was so desperately sick, and I couldn't go to them for help because they just kept making me sicker and sicker and sicker. And so I looked up one day and I said, "Show me." And I was an atheist, so this is like so fucking bizarre. Um, it didn't fit at all, but it was my surrender point. There must be a better way. And 2 weeks later, I was shown the way out of my suffering. There's no way I would have accepted A Course in Miracles then. No fucking way in hell. It was too Christian, I think, a big part, because I was an atheist. And for me, atheism is anti-Christianity, because that's the way I was raised. I'm still anti-Christian. I had such a hard time. I think that's a big reason why why it's easy for me to use the term they for Jesus instead of Jesus, because I'm so anti-Christian.
I did that too for a while. I had work to do. Like I had healing around the terms God, Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, because I didn't grow up in a Christian family, or I grew up with parents who had fear of God. It didn't get talked about.
Mm.
Nobody went to church, but I know that they believed on some level in baptism and all that stuff, right? And because my grandfather was like, "Well, you have to baptize Christine because she won't get into heaven." Like, you know what I mean? Like that fear behind it all. But
Mhm.
yeah, I asked my parents if I could switch schools from when I was in grade 3. I wanted to switch schools. And I was going to, I'm from a very tiny community, like 3,000 people. So I was going to a country school. Literally, we were surrounded by cows and cornfields, right?
In
That was
Alberta?
in Ontario.
In Ontario.
Yeah. So that's the kind of country school, public school that I was going to. And I wanted to switch schools and go in town. Now, I didn't know what I was asking for at the time, obviously, right? But it was a Catholic school. And this is of my own doing. I did this to myself, you know. But my experience with Roman Catholicism was like, I swear, it's where I learned that you have to people please, because you have to please God. Otherwise, you don't get into heaven, right? Um, if you punishment, if you don't meet the criteria, you'll be punished. God will punish you. And just all those things that are really the same thing. You know what I mean? Like all those beliefs that are really the same thing. Like I feel like that's where I learned all those things that are so toxic. And it never felt right to me. Like I remember being in religion class. I want to, I don't know what grade, probably grade 4. And I remember the teacher talking about purgatory. And I remember feeling like, what? I don't think so. And looking around the room at all the other kids who were just on the religion conveyor belt. Like no one else was like, are you guys hearing this? Like, this is insane. You know, even in grade 4, I felt like, no, no. You know, so after that whole experience, and I used to get in trouble because I lived 2 blocks away from the church, and the church was right across the street from the school. So I used to get in trouble all the time because I didn't go to church. And so it was a really hard, forceful kind of judgmental God that I learned about, and all this healing came up in my early 30s as part of my leaning towards God again. Okay, well, it's time to lean towards God and you're ready, but all this other stuff has to get looked at and moved out of the way first, you know? Yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah, everything just got um retranslated, which was nice cuz those words were hard at first. They were pretty hard at first. But I used J. I used to do that too. It was like a stepping stone. It was so helpful. Helped me lean in without being distracted by the judgment that was still there because that takes up space. We've been watching Mission Impossible the last 2 days. There's so many of them, right? And and wow, like I'm watching these movies and I'm like the hero of the dream is like so in your face in these movies, you know? Like the commitment to something that isn't real is like a 10 out of 10. Gotta save the world from the nuclear weapons, gotta, and then, and this, the latest one, which I didn't even know existed, but it came out this year. At the beginning of the movie, there's a submarine, it's a Russian submarine, and they're under the ice shelf. And they're talking like this is the most advanced piece of weaponry. Like this submarine is the most advanced piece of weaponry that man has ever created, and blah blah blah. And my mind is like, to fight who? Ourselves. Like you're only, who are you fighting? Who do you have to defend against? And it is so funny, Jody, because they get really scared because all of a sudden there's another sub and it's behaving strangely. It's moving too fast. And then they realize they can be detected, but we can't be detected. This is the most advanced weapon that exists, and we're invisible. And well, not so invisible, buddy. And so this guy's got nuclear weapons, and they've got nuclear weapons. So they all, shoot their weapons at each other. And then the other submarine disappears. So there's something weird going on. Things are not what they seem, right? Like the enemy missile is getting closer and closer and closer to their sub, and they're panicking and they're yelling orders, and at the moment of impact, nothing happens. And they're like, what just happened? And then they realize their own missile turned around and is coming back at them. So basically, you're just fighting yourself. You're just destroying yourself. Like you're just blowing yourself up. You're just fighting yourself. It's just and it's like the first 4 minutes of the movie or whatever, and I'm sitting there, wow, we're just fighting with ourselves all the time. There's nothing to defend against. Who is the enemy? Like who is this imagined enemy? It's just wild. It's really wild. But like the whole hero of the dream, it's like putting that much commitment and um mind space into all the things in form, and like putting the body at the center of everything. The hero of the dream. It's like, wow. And not only that, it's the same movie over and over and over and over again. It's like 8 movies. It's the same movie from 1996 to 2025 when the next one comes out. It's the same story over and over and over again. And that's the best form can do. The same story over and over and over again. Wow. It's humbling. It's really humbling.
One of the things on my list to do for A Course in Miracles, now that my Mind Valley subscription is done, um, is join David's movie goer's guide to enlightenment.
Yeah, movies watchers guide. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's a cost associated with being a member there, so I had to wait for the other thing to stop before I could start this new adventure. Um, yeah, I'm not a big movie buff. I actually have no desire to watch movies. Um, but I'm determined to see this differently. So if that's a tool that I can use, I love to eat popcorn. So if that'll just, yeah, gives me an excuse to eat popcorn.
Yeah, I would say if 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 movies and TV shows haven't been a teacher for you, definitely watch them through David, you know?
I
Yeah.
haven't had a TV in 10 years.
Maybe it's time spirit's like you get yourself a TV or you use your computer.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't tell you the healing that I've had through TV shows and movies. It has been immense for me. It's not like that for everybody. We all have our own things that will speak to us, you know. And I've watched through David's, pausing and talking and many things uh, on my own, and just watching my mind, watching myself watch TV and see the triggers and the anger and the blah, like being really, really present when I watch. I have had immense learning experiences. Like so much has been shown to me through TV shows and movies.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like once I made the switch from entertainment and distraction,
Yeah,
it was a gradual shift, but it's it's pretty front and center all the time now.
yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty brilliant. I I've last time I was with them, I did um some work on the whole movie watchers thing. It's just like one of the functions, that gets assigned to somebody, and I had a little part in it, and I had access to it because I was doing things in it from the back door, you know. So it was brilliant. It was really, really brilliant.
I've seen quite a few of his videos on YouTube where he talks about the movie. It'll be like the beginning of it, but then of course he can't show us the movie, and he says I can't show you the movie because of copyright. And I'm like, well, what a fucking tease.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just egging me on to go and actually pay for the subscription.
Yeah, I feel like I want to tell you, um, reach out to them, like contact somebody. I don't know who to tell you to contact because I know quite a few people there, but look them up and reach out and see what happens because they do a lot of sponsoring, you know, and they prey on everything. Like everybody that comes to see them, they pray and they wait for guidance. Anybody that gets sponsored for anything, they pray and they wait for guidance. Like it's really intentional. Every single thing is incredibly intentional. Yeah. And the way I would see it is that uh they are 100% spirit guided all the time. That's my experience. That's what I would say about it. Like that sneaky ego maneuvering, that's not happening a lot, especially with the mighties that have been together and there for a long time.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, when you feel it, reach out, look them up, go to the website and reach out to somebody and see. Because there's a whole process if you want to go stay with them. I don't know what the process is now. I just know what it was like the times that I went. You know, you got to fill out a thing and what's your attention. And I even made a video the last time I went. I actually made an intentional video.
Cool.
Actually, the first time, no, I shouldn't say the first time. One of the times that I went, oh my God, it took me like a week to fill out the application. It was just like, oh, like every time I went to it, it would be like, oh, like it was so crazy. And I kept communicating with them, and they're like, it's okay, it's already done, it's already filled out. Just sit with it and just write whatever comes, you know? And I'm like, oh, and I even went and printed off the sheets and they stayed on my coffee table for the whole week because I would go to my computer, try to start, filling it out, and then it would disappear. Like there was so much resistance. It would, how it goes. Like
I do, yeah.
it just shows up in so many
The
ways,
craziest things will happen.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think I feel like I want to share a little bit about what's going on with Andrew and I because he went to the hospital last night, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which was really miraculous. Like his hospital resistance and fear and all this stuff comes in and and I can relate because I had the same thing and I've had some hospital visits in the last couple years, right? And they all ended up in like mystical experiences. So he went last night and uh God, it's such a mind watcher. But I spoke to him on the phone when he was in the waiting room, and I felt so amazing. Just like this full on experience of total commitment to waking up, whatever it looks like, wherever I have to go, whatever I have to do, whatever. It was just the experience of total commitment. And it's like I know that it's with my inner Christ. I know that's what it is. But there's something about this assignment with Andrew that makes just certain things right in my face that other experiences it's doesn't provide quite the same pow, and so I'm on the phone with him and I'm experiencing this thing and I'm sharing it with him and I'm like, Andrew, this is what's going on for me in this moment. I know you're in the hospital and you're in pain and you're like freaking out, but this is what's going on for me. It's so fucking fantastic. And he's like, oh my God, it's so nice to hear. And and I was like, Andrew, just embrace all the hospital angels. Just, you're just there. They're just there to serve you. Just embrace it all. And I was like, dude, we got work to do. Like, come on, we got work to do. And then I started to tank before we were even off the phone. I started to spiral down the fucking ego gross drain. And and we got off the phone and I was just like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then I just started praying because I was falling fast. It was fast and I was drowning in it. So I just started praying and I was praying really loudly in my mind. And then I fell asleep. So, and this morning is mind watching for sure because it's so tempting. Like it seems so real that being worried about what he's doing or how the dogs are doing, whatever, like it's just so fucking sticky. And I need a lot of reminders to not get trapped in the sticky for very long. Like as quick as I can get out.
Mhm.
So I think it's like I think we don't have anything like one of the things that I've heard people say over the years is ask spirit to make it obvious. Make it obvious, make it obvious, make it obvious. And there isn't any clarity on coming in on okay, go get your suitcase and pack your bag. Like I've actually had steps that were like that. Go get this. Start looking through your closet. Pick the shirts you want. That kind of thing, like steps like that. Like nothing is happening. So I feel like it's just stay the course. Just keep practicing what you're practicing. Just keep watching your mind and let Andrew be Andrew. Like just let it be however it's gonna be. Yeah. So if you hear anything to share with me, feel free.
Well, I just keep hearing Kenneth Wapnick remind me that it's all a dream. Andrew doesn't exist. Andrew is just a projection from your mind, a lesson that you would learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So when
it's,
I'm in pain about it, I'm making it real. I'm
yeah,
making something real.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how many Kenneth Wapnick videos you've watched, but if you want to watch a video, I have two playlists on my YouTube channel. One of them's called Game Changers, and the other one's called ACIM Rescue Mission. And the ACIM Rescue Mission is full of Kenneth Wapnick videos. And he has quite a few. They're all like from his lectures back in the day. Some of them have video and some of them are just a picture, but a lot of them are from this one conference that he did where he has a whiteboard and he shows you the ego thought system and he shows you the Holy Spirit. And it's like, one side of the whiteboard and the other side of the whiteboard, and he's got a blue dot and he moves the blue dot. The blue dot is the decision maker. You are the blue dot. I am the blue dot. We are the blue dot. We're not the ego. And so every time I get sucked into the ego, it's like, oh, right, I'm not that. And there's nothing to fix. Like, I don't have to become a spiritual ego and try to fix this shit show, which is why I think I was on that bucking bronco all summer, because as soon as I started seeing the ego, I'm like, oh, I got to fix this. What a shit show. I have to fix it. So I was making the error real. And I just discovered last night, I think it was through Keith Kavanaugh, that the ACIM golden rule, don't make the error real and try to fix it. And that's why I was getting so triggered this morning. I'm like, you're all just a bunch of fucking spiritual egos trying to fix the shit show.
Mhm.
And then I went into it, right? I became the spiritual ego and I needed to fix all you. And I'm just like, okay, stop, stop, stop. Like, no, no, there's nothing to fix.
Mhm.
Nothing's gone wrong. I'm the blue dot. And he just moves it. It's like it's so simple. He just bloop, moves it over there, takes it from the ego, boop, puts it over there. I'm the Holy Spirit.
Mhm.
And so that's my anchor. And then I have notes everywhere. This last one from Keith Kavanaugh, where he talks about being the space or the mess. So this is my question all the time. And when we were still listening to Andrew, um, Calico told us to listen to Andrew. I'm still listening to Andrew, but he said, what am I choosing for myself right now? And it's the same question. Am I the space or the mess? What am I choosing for myself right now? Because this script is already written. I can't do fuck all with the script. I can run around and think I'm doing something. I spent 8 years healing my body, so I can tell you there's stuff to do, and we're powerful beings. I used to teach people how powerful they were. But the script's already fucking written. Like, I see nothing but the past. So yeah, like once you get that, now that I get that, that's my anchor. This is just a dream. None of this is happening. Andrew doesn't even exist.
Mhm.
And me, like my Andrew, is like my mom. That's the grievance I keep coming back to. It's like this monster that lives upstairs in the same apartment building I do. She doesn't even exist. She's a character that I created. And there's nothing to fix. Nothing's gone wrong.
Mhm.
I'm just waking up. I see you. I see you in there doing your thing, making up your stories, being all busy.
Mhm. I know I get triggered, and then I want that to change out there so I can feel better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keith Kavanaugh calls that rearranging the chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
He talks about it all the time. Rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. The fucking ship is going down, guys. Like, stop it.
Mhm.
The ship's
I
going
know.
down.
I know. I remember that example coming in years ago. It's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And this other one, just because you asked me if I saw anything about Andrew, I have this other note.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're not my problem. I'm just projecting you. You're not even real. How could I have a problem with you?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm the problem. I'm the one with the problem. What problem is that? It's a perceptual problem. Jesus says we have one problem, there's one solution. It's a perceptual problem. I think I'm an ego. And because I think I'm an ego, I've got all of these problems. The first video I'm going to send you is when it was his Halloween special. And I couldn't stop. I watched this video 16 times. It was like the best fucking thing since sliced bread. It was exactly what I needed to hear at exactly the right time. It was his Halloween special, and he just does this simple analogy of being a vampire. Like, it's Halloween, and you've dressed up as a vampire, and whoop, you fell asleep, started dreaming, forgot that you're not really a vampire. Now you think you're a vampire, you got all these problems. And he goes through the whole video like that, just using that analogy. We have one problem, and there's one solution. And it's so simple and it's so easy. You got anything else to unwind?
I don't think so.
Thank you for showing up.
Mhm.
Thank you for your honesty and your humility, for having another powerful
You
conversation with
too.
me. I appreciate you.
You too.
Until tomorrow, good night.
Night.